How many GOATs have played in La Liga? Let's count together. Lionel Messi, 1. Cristiano Ronaldo, 2. Maradona, 3. And now, the great Antony Mateus dos Santos, or simply known as Antony, becomes the 4th. Yes, after constant requests from Spanish football fans to grace them with his brilliant talent, Antony has finally decided to step down from his golden throne at Old Trafford and become the 2nd player in the history of the Red Devils to leave Man United for a Spanish team, starting with Real. Yes, this time it's not Real Madrid, but Real Betis.
What?
It might do the trick as well. Let's talk about it. By the way, even some of the biggest sports social media pages like Troll Football covered the big news, and they did it in quite a way. On this picture you can see a Man United star, Cristiano Ronaldo, arriving in La Liga in 2009, just when another star was announcing himself on the Spanish and world stage. Well, you could definitely say that fate has spoken, as the stars have aligned perfectly for us to see this again. In the bottom half of the picture you can see how history is repeating itself. Lamine Yamal, the young Barca footballer, announces himself, and another Man United star, who has all the weapons and skills to surpass Cristiano Ronaldo in legacy, arrives in La Liga and conquers the fans in one of the best leagues in the world. Now, let's play a game. I'm going to show you a picture with 4 clues, and you have to tell me who is the first player that comes to your mind. Just a quick disclaimer, pay attention to the GOAT in the top right corner. And another hint from me, this player has just joined the league and will be wearing white and green until the end of the season. You guessed it. Share your answers in the comments below and see how many of you got it right. Of course, a big shout out to Troll Football for their amazing sense of humour and unusual but original way of announcing big football news. So now, on a more serious note, what exactly happened to Antony? Where did those amazing Ajax skills go? Those impressive Champions League performances against Borussia Dortmund, the 42 goals in his first 2 seasons in Amsterdam. It all seems like a distant memory from today's perspective. Going back to his youth days in Brazil, Antony was hailed as one of the most promising Brazilian talents in the world. He started his career in Sao Paulo and made a real name for himself in the junior and youth ranks, being part of the academy for 8 years between 2010 and 2018. In September 2018, Antony was promoted to the senior team, as he scored 6 and assisted 6 goals in 45 games during the season. Yes, his stats don't look that impressive, but he was young and, understandably, didn't have a chance to start every one of those 45 matches in the Brazilian Serie A and Copa Libertadores. He played for the club until the outbreak of COVID-19, making his last appearance on the 14th of March against Santos. 3 weeks earlier, he had already signed a contract with Ajax, and the transfer was materialised in August, when football returned to normal after the pandemic. And just like we said, he was unbelievably good in the red and white of Ajax. In his first season, Antony scored 11 goals and provided 9 assists, winning the Eredivisie and the Dutch Cup. And all this as a 20-year-old who had never set foot outside South America. Then came the even more spectacular 2021-22, but before that he had one more moment of glory, winning the Olympic Games with Brazil in the summer of 2021, beating Spain in the final. He didn't score or provide an assist throughout the tournament, but his performances were memorable. During the club season, Antony had become an increasingly influential player for the team, especially in the Champions League. Not only that, but he was by far the best Ajax player during that European campaign, scoring 2 goals and providing 4 assists. It was also a time when he formed a prolific partnership with Sebastian Haller. By the way, if you like the video so far, subscribe so you never miss any of our uploads in the future. From then on, it was all uphill for Antony, or at least on paper. The big clubs were ready to splash the cash, with Ajax valuing him at around 35 to 50 million euros. Real Madrid, Liverpool, Bayern Munich and Juventus were all interested. But Barcelona were at the top of the list. In the long run up to the start of the 2022 summer transfer window, Barca were the frontrunners to sign him. They were desperate. Even legend Dani Alves gave his full backing, working behind the scenes to persuade the club to sign him and not Rafinha from Leeds. However, Ajax's valuation grew with every game in which Antony performed above the expected level. In the end, Barca opted for Rafinha, who was seen as a more versatile option, paying Leeds around 60 million. while Manchester United, who weren't even in the talks at the beginning, splashed nearly 100 million with the add-ons, making Antony the third most expensive Brazilian footballer in history. In 2022, Antony and Rafinha competed with each other to such an extent that at one stage, the current Betis player was even top of the pecking order for the national team. In the summer, he was expected to be Brazil's starting right winger at the World Cup, but after their form at the start of the 2022-23 season, coach Tite opted to trust Rafinha, leaving Antony the rotational role. In fact, Antony's career at Old Trafford started quite well. He scored on his debut in a 3-1 win over Arsenal, then in his second game against Man City, and in his third against Everton. 3 goals in his first 3 games, 2 of them against Arsenal and Manchester City, was a dream start for any footballer, but it was especially important for Antony after the huge transfer fee. Everything looked to be going smoothly for him, until it didn't. His next goal came in January 2023. No goals for Brazil at the World Cup, no goals for Man United for almost 4 months. Finally, he scored against Everton in the FA Cup, then didn't score for another month when he returned to the score sheet against Barcelona in the Europa League, and finally scored again in the Premier League in April 2023. The equation was as follows: scored 3 goals in his first Premier League games, then went scoreless in the league for almost half a year, literally one of the biggest miseries a footballer has ever experienced on the highest level. I mean, even other transfer failures like Eden Hazard to Real Madrid, Philippe Coutinho to Barcelona, or Romelu Lukaku to Chelsea have performed better than Antony in his first season at Old Trafford. And going back to the Rafinha-Antony debate for a moment, at that one point in 2022, when the latter was actually considered the more skilled and talented player, everyone was praising him and seeing him as the next big thing in Brazilian football. But this example also shows how important your mindset is at literally every moment. Not in football, not in sports, everywhere. 3 years ago, both Rafinha and Antony were more or less the same level, but now, in 2025, one is about to be kicked out of Old Trafford for doing stupid things on and off the pitch, and dropping disaster classes week in, week out, while the other is having the season of his life and being touted as one of the favourites for the Ballon d'Or. Speaking of stupid things, this is an absolute fact. Just imagine you arrive at one of the biggest clubs in the world, a whole bunch of important people have trusted you, paid a fortune for you, and you do this. And this. I mean, he even mocked Coventry City players after eliminating them out of the FA Cup semi-finals. Within seconds of Rasmus Højlund's winning penalty, most of the Man United players were showing respect, consolation and encouragement to their opponents. Antony, however, started mocking them. And the funniest part is that, firstly, he wasn't even provoked during the game to show this attitude, and secondly, he came on in the 66th minute, played for over an hour and dropped a complete stinker of a performance. Oh, and by the way, he wasn't even out of those 5 players to take a penalty at Wembley that night. We can cite other instances of his awful and diabolical character, but does it really matter? The only thing that matters is whether we will see the old Antony again. Will he be able to revive his career at Real Betis, or will we be seeing the same piece of garbage? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, or if you want to learn more about another GOAT bailing in La Liga, Kylian Mbappe, just click on our latest upload. Catch you there.